A few months ago, an ISP drilled directly through the power line that feeds our house, and a month after that, we had some bad storms that knocked out power for several more days. We do have a generator, but that does not automatically start. It needs fuel, and someone has to be here to operate it and kind of just make sure it's still going. I feel bad for the Beam Networks Cloud customers that rely on services that I'm hosting here at my house, so I finally spent some money to solve the biggest remaining problem in my home data center: the power. No, I did not get a second power line from a different provider. That would be awesome, but I'd still need some batteries. So I made the purchase of not one, not two, but 3 big batteries. And yeah, it was not very cheap, so I should get a lot more runtime on my services. Or if the generator is on, there's no great way to clean up the power coming in from that, because it is just a generator, it's not an inverter. So I want to protect my servers, protect my network, and keep them online as much as possible. And you may be asking, why do you need batteries? You have a UPS. And yes, that's very true. I do have 4 or 5 UPSs in the house. But the problem with a UPS is that it's only meant to bridge the gap temporarily. It's not supposed to be a long runtime solution. They are just to bridge the gap and allow you to safely shut your devices down or safely migrate them to an alternate power source. And that's exactly what I'm using them for in this video. I bought the EcoFlows and the Anker because they are an alternate power source, and the UPSs will do a great job at bridging that gap. And before we get too deep into the video, I want to show you a new purchase that I made outside of those batteries. This is an automatic transfer switch, and for you to understand it, we have to go take a look at the servers and see how that's all set up. Let's go take a look. This is the fancy Anker battery I was alluding to earlier at the desk. This is what has 2,048 watt hours of battery capacity, and all it does for me is it takes power in from the wall and it outputs power to all of my UPSs, and that's pretty cool. So with this Anker battery, I get about 3.5 hours of battery runtime, which is pretty awesome. I have about 500 to 600 watts of load on this rack, so 3 hours is pretty phenomenal. I'm pretty impressed with that runtime, and yes, I have tested the runtime. But as I was telling my friend about this, he said, wait, what if your power actually goes out, you're not home, and the battery dies, and the power comes back on? Is the Anker going to turn back on and reconnect your load? And I said, that's a great question. I have no idea. So in an attempt to prevent that, I bought another device. This is an automatic transfer switch. What this allows me to do is it allows me to take in power from the utility power, aka my battery. So this is going to be the priority power. But in the event that is offline, we do have this separate connection down here that I will plug into the wall. So this is going to fail over back to wall power in the event the Anker doesn't work. And because I did not explain it very clearly or during the video I recorded in person, I wanted to kind of diagram this just so you know how this works. I think this is an interesting detail that I have not seen many people do. So this is the ATS that we have, and basically the auto transfer switch has 2 inputs. The one output is of course the UPS units that we have / the rack. So that is kind of on one cord coming from there. And we do have 2 inputs to that as well. There is the P1 and P2, which is priority 1 and priority 2. So on that, we basically have the priority of the Anker battery. And the reason for that is because the Anker battery is actually, I think it actually times out after a while of inactive use. So we always prioritize this, so we're always pulling power from this. But in the event the Anker battery is off for whatever reason, maybe it crashed, maybe it died and never came back online, we are able to go into the wall power. And what that allows us to do is then have a clean power feed going into the UPSs just like normal. So the priority is of course the battery, and 99.9% of the time it's going to be on battery power. But in that one off chance that maybe I'm out of town or something and the Anker battery is no longer active, we do still have the wall power that will then power the rack. I don't get to see a status of the ATS remotely, but what I do get to see is the Anker battery on the Anker app, and that kind of does give me enough detail because I am able to see if it's online through the app. You may say, why would you prioritize the Anker over the wall power if you don't want power running through the Anker? Well, the Anker does something really cool that I'm not sure if the EcoFlow does. I'll put it on screen. But the Anker does AC pass-through, which means it's not actually using the battery on normal operation. So this means I can leave my rack plugged in 24/7, and in the event that the power goes out, it'll switch to battery power. So there is a blip in power coming from the Anker, but because I have the UPSs, it's not a problem. So the Anker battery is the one that I intend to leave plugged in full time, but that only gives the rack about 3.5 hours of runtime. And I say only, but that is a good amount of time. It's a good amount of time, but it's not enough to kind of protect against a day-long outage. So that's why these two EcoFlows come into play. Each gives me probably an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes of runtime on battery. And that may seem low compared to the Anker, and it is, because these only have a 1024 watt-hour battery versus the 2048, I think, on the Anker. But what this allows me to do is these EcoFlows do support 1 hour fast charging. So in the event of an outage, I'm able to charge it from the generator with like 1,000 watts and recharge it within an hour. So that basically lets me drain these. I can take turns, alternate them or whatever. I will get enough runtime, especially with the Anker in the loop, because I'll need 3 to be able to do that smoothly. So that is kind of the plan for that. The sine wave is also really picky with the generator we have. So it's kind of annoying when it is on generator power, because it constantly cycles between generator power and battery power, and you can hear the clicking a lot, and I don't like that. So I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible. One thing I do as well with power, since this video is kind of all about power, is I'm running half of everything on a different UPS, and that may sound really weird, but like I have 2 fiber ONTs from 2 different fiber providers, so each of those is on its own separate UPS. They each connect to, I think, separate switches, and I try to be as redundant as possible. I don't want a single point of failure anywhere in the network. Obviously, I have a single UDM so that's going to be a point of failure, but I'm trying to avoid it as much as I can within reason. So for all the Beam Networks Cloud customers, I apologize for the downtime you guys have had. I think that I'm doing some good steps to ensure that doesn't happen again in the future. I do want an auto start generator. That will eventually happen, but not anytime soon. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, but hopefully we don't have any more outages, and if we do, I'll be covered by batteries for at least probably 6 hours. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. I'll see you all in the next video.